Hey everybody!
Welcome to What's Up, Watchtower.
Another episode for you all.
Yes. And before we get started, we'd like to first of all welcome all of our new subscribers and also let you know also to come to our new website, whatsupwatchtower.com. And we have so much going on with that right now and more to come, and we'll let you know as things develop.
And we want to thank Floyd for doing all the hard work on that, and I know he's working really hard at doing new things every single day on the website. So you can look forward to some infographics and some polls and some information. I mean, it's just really great.
Yeah, it is. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, we both are.
Yes. Been able to just hand it off to him and let him run with it.
And you get an expert doing your stuff, that's what you get.
That's right, exactly.
So what brings us to talk to you today? We've been talking about it, and we found it very interesting to note that the apostates are most often described as angry and having an axe to grind and
bitter.
Bitter, yeah. And those feelings are valid, even though the organization does not want you to think that they are. But we've had comments that, on some of our videos that, hey, we noticed that you don't appear to be angry at all. You appear to be happy and doing great, and we are
well
happy.
Adjusted.
Yeah. But we just thought it was important to let everyone know that we are at the place we are now, which is a great place, but it wasn't always like that.
No.
Leaving the organization, we also went through feelings of anger, of bitterness, of disappointment, feeling like we had been lied to. So, that's basically where we're coming at you from this one.
Yeah, we just wanted to sort of tell a little bit more about our story after we left the organization, because we feel like it's really important. We're 10 years out, and it doesn't matter how long you've been out, because you can still be angry and bitter if you've been out 20, 30 years. So we get that. And by the way, there are still days when we probably do have flare-ups of anger.
Yep.
It happens.
You should have seen us when the new one man, one woman video came out. You want to talk about some anger. We were both pretty upset about that one.
But we sort of wanted to share that part of our journey because, we don't want anybody to think, oh, we just left and everything was great, because that's not how it was. And so...
Yeah, and it took work to get to this point.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I can encourage, and basically tell everyone. If you want to break yourself free of that organization and have a happy, normal, productive life, it doesn't just happen.
No, that's a good point.
It doesn't just happen. You have to work at that. You have to work to get where you want to be, because initially coming out of the organization, you are very far from that place.
Yeah, for most people, you are really far from that place. So we'll start with me, since I was sort of the first one that woke up. He wasn't going to meetings. We've shared this in other videos, what our story was, but just briefly, he wasn't going to any meetings for about a year, and I was still going and feeling absolutely miserable and questioning it and starting to wake up. And so I just got to a point where I was just so depressed, because I had said many times throughout my life, if this isn't the truth, then there is no truth. And in fact, that reminds me of something that happened when I worked in a big office. I've talked about that job before. I really liked my coworkers and very rarely got into religious conversations with them because it wasn't appropriate. But I worked as a claims processor, and one of my coworkers, also a claims processor who worked on the other side of my cubicle from me, we were having a conversation about I think it was around Christmas time, and they were asking me why I didn't celebrate Christmas. So talking, gave her the standard Jehovah's Witness answer to that. And she was Catholic. And she said, well, I was born Catholic and I'm going to die a Catholic. And even if I found out what I believed, actually, I think I asked her, I said, what if you found out that what you believed wasn't true? Would you still stay a Catholic? And she said, absolutely. She goes, it doesn't matter if I found out it wasn't true. My family is Catholic. I was born a Catholic. I'm always going to be a Catholic. And I just looked at her sort of puzzled, and I said, I don't think I could do that. I think if I found out what I believed wasn't true, I don't think I could stay a Jehovah's Witness. Well, little did I know, because that was 20 years ago, little did I know that I was going to face that very situation. So I started to wake up about 11 years ago when I started waking up, 11 to 12 years ago, and I started missing a lot of meetings, and it was really hard for me to go, and it kept just over and over in my head. I kept remembering that conversation with that coworker, and also that I had always said, if this isn't the truth, then there is no truth, and then there's no point to life. And so I really went through an existential crisis where I was thinking for a good year, then there's just no purpose of life. If this isn't real, then there's just no point to life. And so after, during that period, I had some conversations with well-meaning witnesses, one in particular, a friend of mine, and she was just like, so you don't believe in the new system? And I was like, I just don't. I think that it's a lie. I don't believe in it anymore. And she was like, how can you have any hope in life, Robin, if you don't believe in the new system? And I said, I don't know. I don't have any hope in life. And she was like, well, that's just so sad. And I was like, yeah, it is sad. It is sad. And so then, I was feeling sorry for myself and all the negative emotions. And then I got angry. Yeah. And he remembers when I got angry, I'm sure, very well, because I had started going back to school.
It was a tumultuous time.
Very tumultuous. So I made the decision to go back to college. And during that 4 years I was in college, boy, was I a ball of stress and anger and frustration, because I'm like, here I am in my mid to late 30s. I'm going to be nearly 40 when I graduate. And I have nothing to show for my life at this point. I don't have a career. I don't have a college degree. I'm going to school with these 20-year-old kids who are living at home. Their parents are paying for their college, most of them. They have no responsibilities, and I'm going to be paying off student loans for the next 15 to 20 years of my life, and starting a career in my early 40s. So I was just completely angry, and I was angry because my parents were really not, well, my mom wasn't raised a witness. My dad was sort of raised around the witnesses, but he didn't become a witness until after my parents got married. But they both had college degrees. They were educated. My dad was able to, have a nice life for his family because of his degree and the type of work that he was able to get. And, I was thinking, here we are, and so many other witnesses working blue-collar jobs, and struggling, and my life would have been very different had I gone to college at 18 years old. Right. So I was very, very angry, and for about 2 years. And then I sort of started to, really accept that like there's nothing I can do about the past. My parents did the best that they could with what they knew at the time, and I can't live my life like this. I just can't live my life being so angry and bitter all the time. And I started to find some inner peace. And it was about that time that he got angry. So you go ahead and tell your story.
Well, at the time, I had stopped attending the meetings, and it was directly because of the elders in the congregation. It wasn't a scriptural thing, it wasn't a Bible thing, it was a personality thing. And, I know some of you out there are watching and say you should never let a brother who stumbles you stop you from serving Jehovah. It was a little more than that. The brothers were specifically telling me to stop doing something that I was doing, which is playing paintball. And they gave me an article to tell me why I shouldn't do it. But when I researched the article and did my own research, I found that every reason that they wanted me to stop was actually wrong. And when they didn't want to talk to me about it, it made me angry. So at that point, I just quit going to the meetings. I didn't feel like I needed to talk to them. I didn't feel like they wanted to listen to me anyway. And I'm feeling like here is a group of men who are in their 70s, some of them, late 60s, 70s. They've already lived their life. They've done everything that they wanted to do, came into the truth late in life, sometimes some of them 30s and 40s. And yet, as a young person, this person who was able to do anything they wanted with their life was now telling me every decision I had to make, telling me what was right, what was wrong, what was a good fit for me and what was not. And that made me mad, real mad. So much so that I wouldn't have listened to a word any one of the brothers, elders, ministerial servants, even fellow brothers in the hall, I wouldn't have listened to a word any one of them had to say. At that point, I had just kind of shut off my mind. I had shut off my reasoning ability, and I stayed angry for a really long time.
Well, okay, so you were angry about that, but then when you started to wake up, that was a whole nother level of anger. And that was when I was sort of finding my own inner peace. So he was having those initial angry feelings when he first stopped going to meetings. But when he sort of realized that this was not the truth, which came a few years later, and that was when I was already, starting to find inner peace. And when he realized all the things that he missed out on growing up, that was a whole nother level of angry.
Yeah.
Because you were very athletic and you would have been involved with team sports in high school.
Sure, and not just that, I had an opportunity straight from high school to get a scholarship to go to the Savannah College of Art and Design. Mm-hmm. I was really into art in high school. As a matter of fact, my senior year I had 5 art classes in English. That's it. My senior year was all art. So, I was taking college classes for art. I definitely could have gone into that. I originally thought I might go into that field to be a commercial artist or a graphic designer when I was a freshman in high school. Ended up finding something else that worked for me in an artistic field. But the fact that I had opportunities, opportunities to explore other schools, qualify for scholarships and other things, and I never took that opportunity. Never, not because I didn't want to, not because I didn't think it was right, not because I thought, it was just because I didn't feel like I had the option of even checking it out. Mm-hmm. Because as a witness, your life is kind of laid out for you. Your parents will lay out, whether they don't mean to do it in a negative way, but your parents want to see you progress in a certain way. They want to see your life head in a certain direction. And so in many instances, their plans for you are spiritual progress throughout your life, maintaining your relationship in the organization and with Jehovah and everything. So that's the life plan that they will encourage and that they will kind of direct you toward. And when you start feeling like you want to do something else, knowing that this is the life that's laid out for you, in my instance, I didn't feel like I had options. I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents and say, I wanted to play a team sport, or say I really would be interested in going to University of Florida and checking out these art classes they have. I never said a word, and and that's on me. I never said a word, but I didn't feel like I could.
Right.
So sure, there's regrets about that stuff. I guess this all boils down to, as you get older in life, you do not regret the things that you've done. You regret the things you have not done.
Right.
And as a witness, the list of things you've done is this big, and the list of things you've not done is that big. So that's the thought process. It's, what have I missed out on my entire life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and feeling like missed out on holidays, missed out on birthdays. And my grandparents, we were the only 3 grandchildren that they had, me and my brother and my sister. And they missed out on all of those celebrations with us. And that was very hard for them. But, they respected my parents and never made it an issue. And, I think that is very commendable of them, that they were able to overlook all of that. But I got angry that I wasn't able to, have those experiences with them. And then I come across, I was just up at my grandparents' house. They both passed away, but I was up there visiting my aunt and looking through old photos, and all these photos of birthday parties and Christmases when my mom was little. And that just makes me sad. It makes me sad that I didn't get to experience that. But what are you going to do? So yes, we were angry. We've both been through our phases of being angry. But just wanted to kind of talk about what we've done in our own lives to overcome that.
Sure.
So maybe we can start.
I think basically being happy with your life really does come down to acceptance of everything. Acceptance of your circumstances, acceptance of your limitations, acceptance of what you can and can't do. Accepting and being very honest with yourself, where you're at, what you're thinking, what you're doing, what your capabilities are. Living within your capabilities is going to make you much happier than living for something that is not yet attainable. Because you can attain anything you want, but it requires planning and determination. And in the immediate future, I think happiness is about acceptance and about, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're satisfied with what you have.
Contentment?
Contentment. That's it. It's contentment. So I think for me, a big change was in 2011 when we had a dog that we had for a long time and she passed away. And it's really appreciating life and what's right there in front of you.
Yeah. It's amazing how they can be little Buddhas, these dogs. We're big dog lovers. And so, yeah, when she passed away, that was a really big effect. I had just graduated from college. Yeah, and it was tough. It was tough. She was our baby.
But it made me really appreciate that nothing else is important. Really.
Yeah, if you have your health and, your little family, everything's okay.
And so that's why when people say, well, what is your life going to be like outside the organization? What is the purpose of life if you don't serve God? The purpose of life is to live. That sounds so self-explanatory, but most people don't get it. The purpose of life is to live and appreciate your life every day. And if you can help somebody else, you help somebody else. If you can save and preserve life, you do it. That's the purpose of life, is to live and be a part of everything that's around us. And you could say, well, how does that fulfill your spiritual need? How does that serve God. I feel fulfilled in my life. I feel happy in my life. I have people and things that I love. I have plans that I've made for the future. Robin and I doing this right now has added another level of purpose to our lives, because we have a mission, I guess you would say, in helping young people to realize the things that it took us years to learn. And maybe we can put them on a fast track and help them. So the purpose of life could be different for everyone, but finding a purpose for your life is the important part.
Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't have to be some great cause that you have to change the world. I found, finding friends and pursuing interests and hobbies and, doing it as much or as little as I'm comfortable with doing. But some of those things are what have added layers of happiness. I mean, I was already happy, but now, I'm doing different things and really checking in with when I meet a new person and I'm spending time with a potential new friend, I check in with how do I feel after I've been around this person? If I'm involved in an activity that I may want to pursue more, and like I'm doing with improv, how do I feel after I've done this? I check in with myself, and that's something that I've learned to really trust.
Yes.
My instincts, my gut feeling about things, and gotta say, being around witnesses, although I haven't been around that many over the past few years, but when I check in with myself, and I a lot of times don't feel great about how I felt during that interaction. So that's a good clue as to what is healthy for you, is getting in touch with how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I couldn't encourage people to do more. It's so important is to trust your own feelings, to trust your own instincts, because in so many ways, especially being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, you're taught to kind of turn off certain thought processes that you might have to keep doing what you're doing. And it's not always easy to identify your thoughts. You may have a thought kind of swirling around your head and you can't put your thumb right on it, but something feels off, something feels uncomfortable, something's not right. I would encourage anyone who has those feelings to just explore that. Try to identify, how do you really feel about this? How does it make you feel? And trust your instincts, because that's another way you can be happy. Doing what you think is right and not listening to other people. I mean, not that other people don't also know things that are right or could help you or advise you or counsel you in certain ways, but there comes a point when you have to stand up and take responsibility for yourself, and that means not being afraid of not having fear of man. In this instance, fear of man means maybe the brothers and sisters in the congregation are encouraging you to stay on a certain path or to do something, and your fear of man stops you from fulfilling your true happiness. So just keep that in mind. Fear of man can be fear of any men. If you trust yourself, have confidence in yourself, then no one else can really tell you what to do and make you feel uncomfortable by doing it.
So yes, listening to that inner voice, and we all have one, and sometimes it speaks in little whispers, but also learning to live in the present moment has been a big thing for us.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I mean, as a witness, really, all you're thinking about is a future time. You're living your life for a future time that's never going to come. So you're putting off all your dreams, all the things that you are interested in to a distant time. I mean, how many times did you hear somebody say, "Oh, I'll learn how to do this or that," and then use system? It's a life unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life unfulfilled. It's being filled with one thing of constant meetings, constant, being told that we need to go out in service, constant Bible study, and you're putting off everything that you want to do in life. And it's great to have dreams and aspirations and future goals, but something that he and I have really learned is more, and of course it's always it's a daily process of living in the moment. That was something that we learned. We was talking about our first dog that passed away. We really did learn a lot from our dogs. Right after we had her, we ended up getting another dog, golden retriever, who was born with a congenital swallowing disorder. And she only lived for a year and a half, and during that year and a half, I spent every waking moment pretty much taking care of her because I had to hand feed her. And these hand feedings would take an hour to an hour and a half each time. And there was a lot of choking, a lot of struggle. And so ultimately, she became so sick that, she wasn't going to get better. So, but what I learned from that experience with her, she had such an appreciation for life. She was just so full of life and was so accepting of her circumstances. Of course, she never knew any different. This is how, she was born. But, and we went to so many doctors. And anytime she had to go somewhere new, okay, let's do it. And she would just do it with a good attitude. And, there was never, of course she's a dog and, they can't complain. But she was just so in the moment and happy about everything in her life. And that dog, she was my biggest teacher ever. And I was like, I need to follow her example in my life.
Yep.
Yeah, it really was. It's amazing what good teachers they can be.
Yeah, and that just reminds me, a little trick that I kind of learned throughout the years was, because I would be in a situation where negative thinking would take over, dwelling in the past, worried about the future, and that's no way to live. I mean, most of society does live that way, and they're not happy, and I get why. But I tried to take a lesson from the dogs. They are present at all times, and so that's what I tried to start doing. Is if I was in a situation where I would start thinking of something that upset me or thinking about something that worried me, I just have to stop and take a deep breath. And sometimes I'd even have to physically look at my surroundings to remind myself, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm healthy, nothing is hurting me, I'm safe. And just really evaluate your situation. The thoughts in your head are not your current situation. Those are just thoughts. They have no power over this situation, this moment that you're living in. And so if you can kind of just take a deep breath and separate those thoughts from the real world that's sitting right in front of you, it makes it a lot easier to kind of be in the place where your body is, and not be in a place where your thoughts are.
Yeah. I mean, and what you said that about being, they have no control of you. It's the same thing with the Watchtower organization. They have no control over you. And the biggest lesson that you can learn in life is that no one can make you feel any way unless you're willing to feel that way.
Yeah.
So, yes, you will be angry. It's normal. We understand. But
boy, do we understand.
Yeah, we really do. But it's up to each person to go through that journey and decide for themselves, am I going to let this anger turn into a cancer that's going to continue to eat away at me and make me a miserable person? Mm-hmm. Or am I going to turn this into a positive and do something positive with my life and choose to use this to help other people in any way that I can? And, that's a decision each person has to make, and it's your journey. You're free to do whatever you want to do. But we just thought we would share the things that we've learned and done. And, hey, we continue to learn every day. So we're no experts on this for sure, but we're working on it every day.
But I feel like for what we've been trying to do, we've been successful. And that's just through hard work and partnership and working together, and it really involves communication, so yeah, it's not easy, and there are definitely moments in time, like Robin said earlier, when the witnesses will release a new video or a talk that we hear. Yeah, it'll make us mad. It'll put us right back in that spot of when we were Jehovah's Witnesses and hearing something that we just thought was absolutely wrong or something we knew was wrong. But now, having some distance, it makes it so much easier to just accept that that's what's happening there. This is what's happening here. And
I was just going to say, and be grateful. We're so full of gratitude. I mean, every Saturday morning I wake up and say, woo, I don't have to go out and field service. You bring something else up too.
Appreciation for life is gratitude. If you walk around with an air of gratitude, appreciative for everything that's before you, the day, the weather, your health, the food you eat, the pets, your mate, like anything around, just a feeling of gratitude will lift your spirits. It's not necessarily the most natural state to get into. It requires work, it requires effort, but if you can put yourself there, you'll be happy. Being a thankful, happy person with gratitude for everything that's around you. I know it sounds a little hokey to some of you, but hey, for me, 10 years ago...
These concepts were completely alien to you.
Part of the reason I think I struggled with finding happiness and accepting life for whatever it is just because I was so used to the black and white thinking of Jehovah's Witnesses. And life is not black and white. So when you come out of the organization with a certain type of thinking, a thought process that does not work in the real world, it can make you uncomfortable. It can make you unhappy. It can make you feel like you're just never going to fit in. And it takes time you have to change your thinking. You have to.
Well, you don't have to, but if you want to be happy, you do.
If you want to be happy, you have to change your thinking.
And you don't have to be happy. If you want to be miserable, go ahead and be miserable. Just take it somewhere else, please.
Yeah. And there's X amount of people in the world who will just be miserable people, and there are X amount of people in the world who will always be happy people, regardless of their circumstances.
I'm going to say it didn't come... Even though I'm a bubbly personality, always have sort of been this kind of personality, genuine happiness did not come naturally to me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or me.
I really used to focus and ruminate on negative thoughts all day, every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that as well. And I feel like being a Jehovah's Witness kind of makes you focus on negative things. It makes you focus on shortcomings that you may have. Oh, you didn't get as much time in service this month, or whatever. The feelings that you have being a Jehovah's Witness, they tend to be feelings that will bog you down. And it is not easy to break out of that mindset. It takes definitive work, but we're living proof that it can be. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, let's just say this. I thought everything that I just said to you was a bunch of hippie BS. But it involves changing your thinking. And I can tell you now.
Being open to changing.
Open.
If you don't think you can change, maybe all you can do is just be open to saying, I'm open to thinking that I might be able to change. That might be the only starting place you have at this point. I'm open to thinking that I might be happy someday.
Yeah, and you maybe try something. Maybe if you're approached with a situation that you would have normally said no to, maybe say yes for a change. Try it. See what, maybe it's not good. I don't know. But you never know what your life could be if you always give the same answer for things. If you never try anything new, you never put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You have to be able to try those new types of things in order to grow as a human being.
Yeah, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Right.
So, yes, putting yourself out there to experience, try new things, have new experiences, and you never know. You may hate some things that you try, and other things you may actually really like.
If you hate something you try, at least you hate it with knowledge that you've tried it and don't like it. It's just very limiting to tell yourself, I'm not going to like this, I don't like that, I don't think I would have fun doing this. All those negative thoughts will prevent you from actually doing things in your life. And as you get older, the things you haven't done in your life are going to be your biggest regrets.
That's true.
So we've come a long way, and we thought we'd share it with you guys because we started out as negative and unhappy, angry, disappointed, disillusioned. Pretty much every word you could think of, that was us. We were you. We were part of the organization that had come out and felt disgusted. Not only were we unhappy with ourselves that we didn't see that this was happening, unhappy with ourselves that we did not trust our instincts when we felt something was wrong, all of these things. But we've come a long way, and in the last decade, here we are, happy, healthy, doing better than we've probably ever done before.
Yeah.
Guessing?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So, you can't see, the saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. Another saying I think of is hindsight is 20/20. But you can't see how your life is going to change and all the twists and turns that it's going to take. And, even what's happening now we have a website. And honestly, I thought that we might make a handful of videos, 10 to 15, and that would be it. And now we're over 25 videos and no signs of stopping now.
And not only that, but we're talking to other people on YouTube. Just want to say hi, Josh, my JW story. I talked to you on the phone this morning. What a great guy. We've been in touch with Kale McIntosh. We've been in touch with some other YouTubers, and we would love to be in touch with more YouTubers because we just want to unite, to bring our messages together and work unitedly toward a common goal. And
and I was going to say, not only that, but people have reached out to me that will want to come on and share their stories, and I'm so thrilled, and I can't wait until we can bring those stories to you guys as well. So we have no idea really where this is going, but for us, it's going in a positive direction, despite how our families are choosing to view what we're doing. We can't control what they think. So and that's another reason why we can be happy, is because we don't feel responsible for how they choose to feel.
Right. Let me just clarify something I mentioned in one of our previous videos. I said that we're really only kind of responsible for ourselves in this life. And what I really meant to say is that we're really just we are the ones responsible for our own happiness in this life. No one else is going to make you happy. Your spouse isn't going to make you happy, nor is that their job to entertain you and make you happy. Your parents, they may not make you happy. Your kids might not make you happy. You are responsible for your own happiness in this life, and that goes for every man, woman, and child watching this. And it's a concept that, as a Jehovah's Witness, was foreign to me, because I expected, if I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'll naturally be happy. I'm supposed to be happy. If we're following God's word, we're supposed to be happy. If we are going out in the ministry and doing what we're supposed to, we're supposed to be happy. But the truth of the matter is, yeah, for some people, that does it for them, and they're very happy. But for a lot of people, it requires more than that. And for me, it certainly did. It's just one of those things that every person is going to have to look into their own situation and really give it some personal thought as to what makes you happy, what makes you smile. Do that more, whatever it is. And really, if the organization is telling you things to live your life in a certain way, and you're doing it, and you're still not happy, even if you're following all the rules, I hope that it will make you analyze your life situation. To think about where you're at, really.
Yeah, and kind of made me think about when I went through my very angry period the first couple of years. I finally got to a point where I sort of, what we're saying about realizing that it wasn't up to my parents to make me happy. I released that anger towards them, and I realized they were just people that had kids. Yep. they did the best that they could, but they didn't do all the right things, and they're not perfect, and I shouldn't, I can't hold it against them.
And that brings up a very good point too. Something that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, something that I was angry about when I came out, I gotta be honest, angry at my parents. Never really had a conversation with them about it, but I was angry that I was raised this way. I was angry that I didn't have the opportunities, and J.W. Fairytale made a very, very good point that actually changed the way I thought about this. It's in the 70s when we were kids, the 1914 generation prophecy, that could have still happened.
Still valid. Those people were still alive, a lot of them.
It was well within the time frame of this could still happen. And so the time period in which we grew up, and look, we both know that our parents love us. We both know that all of our parents did the very best they could to raise us, given whatever their circumstances were. But that's something that I hadn't really thought about until I heard him say it. The time period in which we were living as children is way different than now. Now, I find it really hard to believe that people are still going in this direction. But I understand completely why my parents were so into it, why they believed so hard, because the possibility was there that something could still happen. So I have no ill will against my parents and that's something I had to let go of as well. Because look, I know my parents love me. I know they would never intentionally do anything to harm me. But it was coming to an acceptance that they really did think this was the best way. They were doing the best they could. And so, I do have appreciation for that. I have appreciation for how hard they worked to get things done. But on the other hand, now we're living in a different time.
Yeah, and it's really true that J.W. Fairytale video about, because we grew up in the same time period. It sounds like that he did. So, Anyways, I mean, we could have a whole talk show about this subject, about how to find happiness in life. And it's, you know what, it's something that we continue to work on. And, you know, we're by no means have it all figured out. We don't. But we're trying. And that's all you can do.
My philosophy is to just keep on moving. You know, the world doesn't stop, so we shouldn't stop. You know, just keep progressing as a human being and, you know, find your zen. You'll get it.
On that note, that's a great note to end on. Find your zen.
That's it.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Take care, everybody.
See you next time.